Yes. All right, cool. All right, here we go. I'm going to start it. Okay, hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning back into Art is Dope, the podcast that we talk to artists, but also talk about just overall life and how to handle life, and letting you know that you're not alone in this. We can do this together. So we're trying to tackle the art of life here. TyTylerTy is on here. Thank you, Tyler, for coming on again. This is round two. This is sick.
Woo! Yes. Woo. Ty. Ty. Ty.
Yeah.
Ty. That's what they're saying.
So also, if you're not if you're just listening to this, which is very cool as well, but we also have a visual section of this as well on YouTube. So just look up Art is Dope on YouTube or Wheeler Visuals if you want to see my face and Tyler's face together simultaneously as one face, kind of like
We'll
meshing
see you
it
there.
together. Yeah,
One mesh face. This is
yeah,
what God and Martin Luther King wanted. All right.
yeah,
So let's jump into it, bro. I really love the conversation that
yeah.
this is all about a conversation you and I had yesterday about taking care of ourselves, and
Correct.
especially as artists and creatives, how we approach life and like
Hmm.
give ourselves grace to experience life. And I'll let you know, man, it sat so well with me, the call we had yesterday, and it's kind of resonated with me all day and kind of changed how I approached this day and hopefully subsequent days going forward. But I'm really excited to have this conversation again. So
Yeah, that is rad. We actually, for people who don't know, which is probably everyone listening to this, Tyler and I had a conversation last night. We were talking about music and stuff, and I really wish I recorded it because it was such a raw, awesome moment. But like I said last night, I think we can recreate that or at least get close to it. But yeah, like
definitely.
we were saying, I think I want to title this "Beating Yourself Up" and how easy that is to do, especially as artists and whatever you do as a musician, a freaking painter, or whatever. It is important to realize that beating yourself up is so natural, and that's the thing that I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Like when we hung up last night, it's such a natural thing. I think us as just human beings, kind of. I don't know what it is. I think. What do you think, Tyler? Do you think we were born with that, like in general, of wanting to do so well that when we don't, we just completely hate ourselves?
I feel like that kind of comes from society, like
Mm.
in how we're brought up. So like when we look at, like, think about perfect attendance, right?
Yeah.
Like there's this whole thing that's like, if you're not here, something's wrong. Like if
Right,
you're
right,
not
right,
at
right.
school, that's bad. Why are you not at school? Why are you taking a day off?
Yeah.
Like you, and then we reward people that like never left. So or never missed a day, or didn't really take time for themselves, right? So I think it starts really early, and it's like, I don't know if a lot of people probably have this rule in their house, like if you don't go to school, you don't get to play. Like
Yeah.
if you get school sick, you don't get to do anything. So it's like, if I'm not there, then I'm not allowed to enjoy myself or like relax or do the things that I want to do because I didn't do XYZ. Like if I didn't go to work, well then I shouldn't go out with my friends. And I, as an adult, I hate that, and I don't do that at all. And it took me 5 or 6 years to get to where it's like, okay, like just because I didn't do the thing that they're saying I have to do, and I put air quotes around have to do, because we really don't have to do anything if we choose to, right? We should
Yeah.
only do things that we want to do, or things that benefit us, right? And we could get into the weeds on that one, but I feel like there's this pressure to not just be. And my girlfriend Jessica, she gets on me all the time. She's like, "You don't let yourself just be. You don't like give yourself a day to just watch Netflix, or like just go for a walk." I'm always like, "Oh, I got to go for a jog. I got to go for a run.
Mm.
Can I get in my 10,000 steps?" And it's like, bro, just like go for a walk. Like
Yeah.
wake up, make some breakfast, sit on your bed, watch some Netflix, read a book, go lay under a tree and just look at the sky. Like I feel like there's, from a young, we start wanting to just be, and then when we get into school, it's like you can no longer do that. And when
Mm.
you get into the workforce, you can no longer do that. And so we have to kind of retrain our brains to give ourselves grace to
Yes.
just be.
Yes, I agree with that, and I think you're 100% right in terms of the schooling, because like when you're a baby, when you're first born, you know those years of like probably like being born before up to getting into like kindergarten, whatever that year
Hmm.
or age is. Like you said, I mean you're a baby, you don't really have a choice of not to do anything, but you don't have to do anything. You know, there's no pressure. You don't really see like parents like you have to do this puzzle now, or like you have to watch Barney now, or you have to do this now, or
Right.
it's kind of just. I mean, there probably are parents like that, and it sounds like kind of psychopathic, but you know what I mean. So I think that is instilled, and I think it does start in the schooling system when you go to school. Like they drill that in you of if you don't do this, you're not going to have a successful future, or you're not going to be able to do this, or that like you were alluding to earlier. If you don't do this, you don't get to do this,
Right.
and I think to an extent that is good. I think that is important, but I think it has gotten to the point where it's overdone, and especially with uh, certain individuals, right? Like everyone is
Yeah.
different, so not everyone can handle that. And I think I mean, I definitely am. You might be, people you know might be. I am definitely in the group of like that kind of like messed me up. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. 100%.
yeah, and so I just kind
I
of want to. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think it's good to be ambitious. I think it's good to be
Oh yeah.
dedicated and determined. Like if there's something where you're like, I'm not gonna take a day off from
Mm,
this. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I mean, you think about, I mean, the GOAT, Kobe Bryant, who said he did something for basketball every day of his life,
Yeah.
every single day, no days off. Love that. I love that mentality. I'm all for being a go-getter. I'm all for like grinding and hustling and making sure that you're preparing a better future for yourself. But you have to know the balance. Like yesterday, my biggest thing was that I had 8 things on my schedule for the day. I
Hmm.
had a whole bunch of stuff that I had to get done. I wanted to be in and out of the gym by 7:15 a.m. I let myself sleep till about 10, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I remember you saying that.
and I woke up because I woke up at 6:15 and it was the most beautiful rain. And so I like cracked my window and listened to it, and like it was getting brighter outside because the sun's coming up, and so it's
Yeah.
just like lighter shades of gray. And I was like, I needed to see that. And I rolled back over and went back to sleep. And there was a time in my life where I would have beat myself up and been like, this whole day's done. Like I missed all this time. I didn't do anything I wanted to do. And instead I woke up and I made my breakfast, and I thank God for letting me wake up. I thanked him for the food in my fridge. I thanked him for the rain. And I was like, I'm and thank you for grace, man. Like I can just let myself be. So worked on a song I'm working on, sent some emails, applied to some jobs. I did all the things I needed to do, but allowed myself to do it at a different pace. And not beating yourself up makes you more productive.
Oh yeah.
So if we're in a situation where we didn't do what we wanted to do the initial way that we saw ourselves doing it, then you kind of just gotta like get yourself up and be like, okay, that's fine. And how can I do those things now? And it takes a lot of mental work. You have to get out of a lot of old habits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we think about it, like you said, that messed you up as a kid, bro. Like it messed a lot of people up. We
Hmm.
really base everything on adhering to a routine and a structure. And
Yeah.
so we're kind of afraid to let ourselves deviate from that, to let ourselves just be. And we got to get over that, man. We really do.
I agree with that, and that's great that the what you said about how you kind of just woke up and you kind of rolled back in the bed. What made you? Because I mean, it probably was a myriad of things, but can you kind of tell me and explain how you went from okay, old Tyler, where he would really beat himself up, like, man, you wasted a whole day, to where you really got to the point now, which what you said was freaking beautiful, man. Like you're just kind of like experiencing everything as it's coming. You're like appreciating
Mm.
everything. So what do you think? I mean, if you can kind of dive into that, what kind of got you there?
Bro, trying to be my friend again, to
Mm,
be honest, right? Because like it, a good friend motivates you and
yeah,
makes you stay dedicated. But a good friend is also understanding what you need when you need it, right? So a lot of times, especially as creatives, we're our own worst critic, right? As artists, we're the hardest on ourselves. And so I'm trying to not be hard on myself where I don't need to be, right? Because I think the thing that made me change was I realized, like, what's wrong if I sleep in? Like, what? Like, no one dies. You know what I'm
Well, that's
saying?
what that's what yeah. That's what
Like,
people. That's what I think It's such a corny thing to say, but like in our society or whatever, that's like taught. And like if you do sleep in, you're gonna miss shit. Or you're gonna miss out
yeah,
on everything. And I think to an extent
yeah,
that is correct to a way, but I think
yeah,
people
but not every
overlook make it.
day.
Yeah. It's not the entire world.
No, man. And I think too, bro, it's like I I spend a lot of days not enjoying my day and not enjoying what I'm doing because of depression and anxiety. And I'll be very
Hmm.
real about that and very open. And I try to combat that by enjoying the things that I can.
Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right, I just woke up, no matter what time it is, one, I always am grateful that I'm awake. And I'm just like, I'm great. Sorry, I'm yawning, but I'm like, I'm grateful
No,
I'm
yeah.
awake. Like, thank God, bro. And and then like, how does that feel? How does it feel to lay in your bed, right? I think about, we're the last generation born before cell phones, right?
Yeah.
So the other week I was thinking about this memory of being a kid and waking up and like pulling this blanket over my head and watching the way the light came through parts of the blanket.
Mm.
And I was like, I was laying there, my eyes were closed. And I was like, when's the last time you did that? And so I
Yeah.
like pushed myself down and pull the blanket up. And I'm like, this is crazy. And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
I was like, I don't want to touch my phone. And I thought about all the times as kids we'd wake up and like run to the kitchen or run to the living room because you hear someone's with the TV, or like get up and try to grab your toys and get like 10 minutes of playing in before someone gets you ready to go do something.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I was like, let me not touch my phone. How long can I go before I have to touch my phone? And I found some peace in that. There's a lot of peace in like hearkening back to those pure moments of childhood and letting ourselves experience that fully. So I know that definitely helped me change that perspective. Because as kids we didn't beat ourselves up. You know what I mean? Unless you just really had bad anxiety. Like,
Yeah. We didn't
and
even know
when
what that was. Like we didn't even know. Like we just
right,
weren't
right.
even
And like,
taught that.
yeah, and I mean, some people just naturally are self-conscious, bro. Like, it's in their nature, and so
Mm.
they'll hear that and be like, "Damn, I don't know what that's like. I've never felt that or experienced that."
That's a good point.
But maybe find a moment for those people. Like, find a moment where you just felt at ease, and I try to recreate that energy and feeling in other moments, and it's not easy. But I would rather, if I already slept half my day away, if I'm waking up at noon, I'd rather spend the latter half of that day happy with myself
Hmm.
than upset with myself. And it's hard, it's not easy, but once you get there, it's liberating.
Absolutely, it sounds like it. And I kind of wanted to go back to what you're saying last night about how you would sometimes like now you would kind of go back into your mind of when you were a kid that you felt
Yeah.
really good. Can you kind of talk about that again? And because I thought that was really very powerful thing to say.
Well, thanks, man. So last night I was telling you I do this thing when I'm going to sleep where I think of like a happy memory and I try to put myself in a place that's peaceful. Some of it I feel like, and I meant to say this, some of it I feel like is preserving memories. Like, how many things do we actively remember, right? So like, how many things do we walk ourselves through again and again? And like right now I'm realizing that it's also a way of combating the negativity, because we often like replay negative things over and over and over, but like, how many positive things do we let ourselves enjoy and walk through and like feel that emotion? So um unknowingly I did this one night. I was laying there and I couldn't sleep, and I was like, what makes you feel comfortable? And I just had this memory of like the car my parents had when I was a kid, pulling into the driveway and like pretending to be asleep so that they carry you in. And
Yeah.
like, how many nights as a kid did you do that, right? And um so I think about like my head on my dad's shoulder and like what it felt like to be laid down, or like my mom carrying me in and like them like rubbing your hair, like kissing your head and being like, sleep well. And like the whole time, maybe they probably knew you were awake. They probably knew
Yeah.
you were fake sleeping, you know? And I think about those nights and I try to remember like, what did the hallway look like? What did it smell like? What did the shirt my parent was wearing feel like against my face? Like, remembering how I try to remember how small my hands were. And like, I find as I walk myself through these things, I'm finding comfort. And you know, I'll say that's those things aren't easy for everybody, bro. They're not easy things for everybody to do, and we all have different reasons as to why. And maybe it's not that exact type of memory for you. Maybe it's your first apartment that you lived in when you realized like I got this place for myself and like I'm working a job that I hate, but it's providing me with this, and I'm grateful for that. And what did that place smell like? What did that bed feel like? Maybe it was lumpy and uncomfortable, but you were proud of it. And
Mm.
and what moment, positive, happy moment can you walk yourself back to and revel in, you know? And the way that we beat ourselves up so often is what they call rumination, right? We ruminate on something and it's just again and again.
Mm.
It's like pummeling. It's like a mental boxing match, literally just like punch after punch.
Yeah.
And what if we fought that back with like happy memories and love and positivity? And so like whenever you see your mind going to that place, you're like, nope, not doing that. I'm gonna put up my blocks. I'm ducking, I'm
Deontay
bobbing and
Wilder.
weaving. yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Getting away from the jab. You're not sleeping me. I'm gonna hit you with this happy haymaker and
Yeah.
and put
Slobber
my
knocker.
own self to sleep. Yeah, yeah, bro.
That's sick. Yeah, I like that analogy. I wanted to ask you, Ty, why do you think that us as humans are so natural to dwell on negative thoughts rather than obviously going over things and thoughts that makes us feel better? Why do you think that is? I mean, that's a deep question. I don't even know. I just kind of wanted your opinion
Bro, I don't know. I
on what
think
you thought.
well, negativity is easy. It's the path of least resistance, bro. You can just be
Mm,
negative.
mm.
Because life,
It
like
is easy.
honestly, life kind of sucks. Like life is a beautiful thing. It's amazing. I love it. It's art, but life sucks, bro.
Yeah, it's
Life
tough.
is
It's tough.
trash. And I think sometimes we get caught up in that, bro. The first podcast you and I did was done 9 months after my dad passed away.
Mm,
And I was in a dark place, bro. And life
mm,
sucked. I was dealing with so much BS. And I'm still dealing with a lot of those things, man. And I have my highs and I have my lows. And there are times when it's really easy to be caught in that. And just like, why the big why are things the way they are? Why didn't this go the way it should have or could have? And that's simple. It takes work to pull yourself out of that and show gratitude for what is, rather than frustration or remorse for what could have been. So I think we rely on if I had to make a guess, we rely on the negative and fall into that because it's easy
mm.
and it's
That's a good.
everywhere.
That's what I was about to say. I think we're just surrounded by it all the time. It's like it's everywhere. It's like on your phone, it's on the internet, it's on TV, and it's almost like weird to be opposite of that or to want to
Yeah,
not be involved in that, you know?
dude. Yes, literally. I got stuck in a Twitter thread of violent videos the other day. Like, I'm like
Mm. Yo,
watching,
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
why am I watching that? I hate that. I hate it. I
Yeah.
hate violence. I hate meanness. Why am I looking at this, bro? But I'm like, it's like this guy called his op lacking, and I'm like, why am I watching this guy catch his op lacking? I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I hate that.
So what do you do personally to if you are in that funk, that mindset? Because it is, I mean, I fall into it a lot. It's pretty easy. Are there things that you do personally to try to at least maybe get back into the mindset of getting that energy back to where it should be as a like an even playing field, you know?
Yeah, unpopular answer, I quit smoking weed. And this was like
Nice.
for the
Yeah.
aggregate, right? Like I stopped doing that. And I was just like, I feel awful when I do this. I have anxiety attacks and panic attacks when I do this, so I'm just not. So I don't do that, but like when I get in the negative, man,
Yeah.
sometimes I let myself revel in it and I roll in it for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And I'm just like, this sucks, everything sucks, I'm mad. And
Mm.
then I get over it. And I always feel dumb, right? When I get like really, really mad about uh really, really mad about something and I'm like raging and I'm like, you idiot, you should have done this, you could have done that. And then all of a sudden I realize it's okay. And I'm like embarrassed with myself. And I'm like, oh no, why did
Mm.
you feel like that to begin with? Um, and I try to tell myself that's okay. I try to just be like, that's fine, bro. Like, you had to feel those emotions. What did it feel like at the start of it? And how can you avoid that the next time? Which is easier said than done. But like, I find those episodes last shorter and shorter now. That doesn't really answer the question, though.
No, I think it does because I think, like you said, it's not like conventional, but it is almost like diving into it, like just facing it, like kind of like it's almost like kind of snuggling up with it, like being like, all right, this is what's going
Yeah.
on. This is how I'm feeling. This is like this is a really bad feeling. I'm really upset. But then eventually, kind of like having to step back and being like, okay, this is not going to be long term. It's not going to be forever. Um, but that, like you
Yeah.
said, that's easier said than done. It's so because once you're in that mindset, it's like very difficult to get out of it. You know.
Definitely. And I think you hit a place where you can be like, why am I upset? Like
Mm-hmm.
what am
Mm-hmm.
I feeling that has me upset? And
I've done that before. Absolutely.
yeah, and sometimes I ask myself like is it justified? Like is it justified? Because there's stuff we can be mad about and there are things to beat yourself up about. Like um I have a specific issue with the behavior that I have and I had it under control and recently did it again. And I beat myself up for a couple of days. And then I was like, how can you fix this? What can you do? And so I started taking steps, like noticeable steps to work on that. And it's going to take time, but I have to be positive about it or else I won't do it. The woman that wrote You Are a Badass or How to Be a Badass, whatever the name of that book is, Jen Cicerno, she had this beautiful thing about when you want to change a habit, like tell yourself you've changed it. So like if you want to be a positive person, rather than be like, I'm not gonna be negative, you go, I am
Mm.
positive. Right? Like, man, you're like, I'm trying to quit beating myself up. Be like, I lift myself up. I believe in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So you start to say that you are what you want to be, right? So like if you're trying to quit smoking cigarettes, that's always her big example. It's like I'm a non-smoker. If you want to stop smoking weed, like you're like I'm a person quit smoking weed. You want to drink less? I have less drinks. I don't need drink. You know what I'm saying? Like I drink less or just like I'm a person that drinks soda. Just change what you're identifying as totally.
Yeah, it's almost like you're reaffirming your own
Yes.
mind because your
Yes,
mind is always
100%.
yeah. It's because it sounds like you're. I mean, it is. I mean, your mind is always playing tricks on you, and especially with like if you have depression or anxiety, that's what that is. That's what your mind is. Your mind is telling you that you're worthless and all this stuff when it's obviously not true. So that's pretty dope. I like that. I
Bro,
think I might
yeah,
start using that.
yeah. Yeah, I hope so, bro. I hope so. Yo, what's crazy, when we got off the phone yesterday, I told you I don't know if I told you, I did this weird thing last night where I slept on my floor. And I was
Oh
like,
wow,
I'm gonna
perfectly fine
sleep on the
bed. You
yeah,
got a
perfectly
floor. Okay.
fine bed. Chose to sleep on the floor. And I hung up and I laid down and I turned the light out. And the moment like The moment I hung up and then turned the light out, it just started raining. And it was this moment of like everything kind of ending and closing down and being able to appreciate that moment and just like lay there in the floor with the rain. And it was like really nice. And I just feel like if we set ourselves up for one, serendipity, but two, peace to find us, peace will find us. And it's really easy. It's really easy to beat ourselves up. But when we start showing ourselves grace, God and the universe shows us grace in return. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm.
and that's great. My dad used to have this thing, now that I think about it, where he would say, if you act hard, life will treat you hard. And I didn't realize that as a kid, what he was saying is like what you put out there comes back to you. So if you show yourself love and peace and positivity, it that's what the universe shows you as well, and that's how God blesses you. If you beat yourself up and are mean to yourself and are hard on yourself, then these things are what the universe sees and gives you too. So it's easier to get stuck in a positive loop once positive things start happening. So just have patience with yourself and wait for the positivity to unfold and keep being positive no matter what's happening.
Yeah, and that's a good point because it like not only you, we were talking about this as well last night. It doesn't only affect you, but it also affects the people around you. So like you have to think of it as like you
Hell
are
yeah.
like you're not in you're like in the center almost, and it's easy for us to like just think of ourselves, but how we react, like interact with people, and how we are perceived by people can affect other people. So what you're saying is like just bringing like trying to bring that positivity into the universe and like taking it out of the universe, it'll
Facts.
give it right back to you. So that's great.
Yeah,
That's a
bro.
great analogy.
Yeah, man. You had some great points on that too, bro. Talking about how what we do affects everyone around us and like our family, and
Mm.
finding that balance between being selfish enough to love ourselves and take time for ourselves, but also knowing that like if I don't get positive and get happy, it's gonna affect those around me. Which is not, and I don't want people to take like that one soundbite and be like, get positive and get happy. It's not that easy. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, bro, like, because you told me that story about, if you don't mind me sharing this, you about not feeling well and going to shoot a wedding. And
Yeah. Yeah.
you were like, I know that's selfish. And I was like, no, that's not, bro. Like, that's the most selfless thing. Like, you put yourself to the side and you called it putting on a face, but you did it to like benefit others and people that you loved, and create a lasting loving memory for them. And I think when we can find that selflessness in the midst of the angst and anger and depression and frustration, like, it plants a seed of like, I'm able to do this. Like, you tell yourself, hey, I'm able to push through for them, even if it's just for them. And but you're creating that muscle memory of like, I can push through. A little bit of perspective work goes a very long way.
I agree. I like that. I think we're gonna end that there because that was like a great way to end.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But
Yeah.
I know we're talking about this, but I want to talk about before we head out. I want to know what you're doing. Please tell what the heck you're doing artistically, because you did drop a few albums or a few records recently. I'd like you to
Yeah.
discuss those and tell the people what's going on.
Oh, promotion lightning round. Okay. Really working on my
Yeah.
Spotify content, really getting as much stuff on Spotify as I can. Started making TikToks. Everything is TyTylerTy, obviously. I'm trying to brand, not trying to, I'm branding with the
Mm-hmm,
TyTylerTy
mm-hmm.
thing. So I've got 2 singles and an experimental single coming out right now. End of October into November. Got some stuff that I can't talk about contractually, working into December, January, February. I'm kidding. There's no contracts. And
Why'd you
then,
say that? Why'd you say that? You should have let it be.
yeah, right. No, we've got a no cap in my rap, bro. And I'm making music full time and working on poetry. Trying to learn about NFTs because apparently that's
Crypto.
where everything's going. Yeah, a little crypto vibes. And just working on myself, man. Really working on me because I want to love myself again, and I'm on that journey. So, you know, the gym and the studio. That's kind of the gym, studio, and church.
Yes.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Tyler, thank you so much for coming on Artist Dope. Great talking to you. Great seeing you. And I'm glad you're doing well, man. And I know the world is glad that you're doing well. Yes, thank you, bro.
Hey, man,
thank you.
I'm glad you're doing well. I'm glad you're doing this again. Call me anytime and I'm hopping on. All right, bro?
Yeah, absolutely. TyTylerTy, everybody. Thank you. I love you.
TyTylerTy. See ya. Love you too, bro.
They calling on me, yeah. I got what they need now. She's all in my jeans now. I'm stacking this cheese now. Ain't sleeping on me now. I hit them like fiend now. Got bitches on me now. This such a routine now. She's talking like she's down. I've been 10 toes down.